All right, shit. What's going on, girl?
What's up? Nothing much. Working, as always. But I have been doing really good. I've been doing really good.
Oh yeah, tell me good things.
So some good things. I just got promoted at my
Okay,
job.
congrats, congrats.
So thank you, stepping up. I'm working on my podcast. So I've been in preparation with getting some locations locked down.
Hmm.
So we can do like some public interviews and things, and also locking down like some sponsorships with these businesses
Hmm.
because my goal is, of course, to always like travel. So the thing with that is, if you're doing a video and then other businesses are seeing you locking in your hometown, but one thing that I've learned for is like marketing purposes, it looks
Yeah.
really good when other businesses see that you create a relationship with at home businesses, whether it's a mom and pop shop or whether it is a national business, and it just allows you to make those relationships easier when you travel. So that's one of the things I've been focusing on with that. Also just really like
Hmm.
diversion into film. So I've just connected with a film director. So I'll be acting in a visual that they're creating. And right now we're still in the planning process.
Okay.
But that's something that I've been locked down. And then lastly, just really getting into modeling. I've been doing a couple shoots lately. And so, at first it was like I was out here in the search of trying to find my space into
Yeah.
modeling and just figure out like, do I want to do runway or do I want to do like the photo shoots? And so now I kind of have got my niche, and I do feel like the photo shoots are more of my style. But with that, it has been very easy to come to me rather than me having to go out and search for it. And so the opportunity of finding spaces and photographers who want to shoot, finding opportunities where I don't have to pay for a shoot, but I'm able to get branded, or even just having a financial opportunity with a shoot. So those things have been coming very easy. And so for all of that, like I'm just very grateful for just being a well-rounded creative, being very artistic, whether it is with the pictures or whether it is with my poetry. So yeah, things have been going really well. I have just been in a space of trying to continue to level up and just grow in every area that I can and just continue to learn more because of course with growing and getting all these opportunities, the knowledge also has to be an important factor in that. And so
Hmm.
as I have been growing and getting these promotions and getting these opportunities,
Yeah.
my biggest thing has been trying to retain information and gain information.
No, I feel that. I feel that. So shoot, for everybody who don't know you, I'm definitely happy for everything that's going on for you for sure. Congrats on everything. Go ahead, let the people know who you are.
Most definitely. So, my name is Aisha Hayes, also known as Aisha the Goddess or Aisha G. Aisha G is my rapper's name. So, I just started playing around with music a little bit. I
Hmm.
like to call myself a poetic rapper because poetry is my first fame,
Hmm.
and Aisha G is just a name. And so, rap has always been something to close to me. But until now, it is something that I'm playing with and tackling with to find my space. I feel like in the world,
Hmm.
but just a little bit more about me. I am a youth activist, well, overall activist. I'm an advocate. I am a film director, a podcaster, an actress, model, poet, and a keynote speaker. I also host events, MC at events. So I'm a very well-rounded creative.
Okay, okay, shoot. Let's go to your Instagram, see if all this add up real quick. Let me see. Let me
Most
see.
most definitely. Go check
Let
me
me
out. Go
go
check me
ahead
out.
to it. Let me see. Press this button, press that button. Get it right, right here. Boom, 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 boom. All right, here we go. Here we go. What you think I see on your page right now?
Well, I know what you're seeing on my page definitely is um some pinned items. So as you can see, I have a picture pinned up with me looking so gorgeous with Aisha Speaks Real up there, which is already letting you know, like, oh, what's that? Okay, it's the podcast. The podcast is called Aisha Speaks Real. And then somewhere on there, you'll probably see like a flyer of all the booking services that I offer. So people already have an idea of what I do and what kind of things that they can get from my services, what kind of services that I offer that they can get from me.
Okay.
And also I got some pictures up, well, not some, but a picture up there
Mm-hmm.
from for a show that I'll be performing at. in a couple of weeks. And that's me rapping, y'all, not doing any poetry. But I also got some videos of me doing some poetry so people kind of get a feel for that. But I feel like everything I do is
Okay.
up there. Like
Let me see if I can find
me
something. This look like
being
you on a
like just me doing
microphone.
everything is up there.
I mean, making no words to sound, calculating. I mean, they were calling me things like a 304, and I would just cross my arms and say, I don't know what that is.
But I hear it.
Yeah,
But then my
y'all hear
mama
me
would
okay, cool.
They hear it. Well, no, they might not have heard it because I got my sound is kind of crazy right now. Okay then. Okay then. No, dope, dope, dope. Boom.
Yeah, I got it up there. I got it up there.
All right, all right. So I don't know. What's something you looking forward to?
You said what's something that I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to?
just in your recent future and happiness. What's something you looking forward to?
Honestly, I am like looking so forward to the development of my definitely my podcast. Like I am so excited to see where it takes me.
Mm,
The connections that I make through, you know, interviewing people and talking with people, it is just it's really like moving for me. Like I don't think a lot of people understand like how simple like a conversation
mm-hmm.
really changes an environment for a person, and I've met a lot of people, in general, who just feel like, oh man, I just want to give up on my music or give up in life, period. But after having a conversation, it gives them a sense
Mm-hmm.
of hope. And so I'm just continuing to look forward to how the foundation of my podcast grows. And then I also have a nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
that I'm piloting currently,
Who had those
and it
conversations
brings,
with you when you was feeling,
huh?
I said when you was feeling not in your best moments, like who had those conversations with you that made you feel?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So I want to say, this one guy who I interviewed, his name is GMEJ. He's a rapper,
Mm,
and so I had been trying to get an interview with him for the longest, and it just seemed like every time was impossible. But we finally got our interview. And one of the things that I love personally about interviewing rappers is that people have this idea or this concept of who they are based on the type of music that they create or based on the language that they use in their music.
mm,
But talking with him changed my perspective on how I think and my judgment, but it also showed me that people are just human. And
yeah.
no matter if you're a preacher or a rapper, you come from the hood or from the suburbs, we are all just the same. But just talking with him and knowing that he has a bigger purpose, asking him questions that made him think about what is my purpose, what is my mission, because a lot of times too we don't even know that we have a purpose that's deeper than what we're doing until somebody asks us. And I remember just conversations post the interview of him just saying like, man, you asked me some great questions, like you made me think about this, you made me think about that. Those are the moments that I live for, because I want to do something different. And it may not be the biggest thing, it may not be the most celebrated thing, but to change somebody's own perspective about themselves so that they can see like, I am bigger than this. Like this is, I'm not just doing this for myself for real. Like, and I'm not just doing this for my family. I'm doing this for my community. I'm doing this for young men who look up to me, young guys who want to see themselves as a rapper. But I want them to know it's more than rap. This music thing is something that I want to use to have a bigger purpose to change things in my community, to maybe have some different community meetings, the community day parties. So it's those type of things that really get me geared up when I'm having these conversations with these artists or these interviewers.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, and people are human. As many, interviews as I've done, I've definitely changed my perspective on some things a few times where I'm probably more empathetic to the average person, or you just get to see a little bit more just outside of yourself on a regular basis. So no, for sure, for sure. Now tell us something about your dealings in the advocacy. Well, you said youth advocacy. What's
Yeah,
going on with
so
these kids?
man, a lot, literally. So I primarily deal with the youth. So that's why I'm like always saying youth advocate, because I work with young people, and
Yeah.
so primarily in my job, like in my actual job, what we focus on is reproductive health, mental health awareness, physical health, overall well-being, and also policy initiatives, so things
Mm.
like system change. And so one of the things that I find to be very beneficial to the young people, especially in this generation, is not having direct conversations about things that we want them to do, right? So that
Mm.
basically just means like, in my job, we desire young people to be advocates, right? So that's like the basic of it. And what do we want them to advocate for? Well, we want them to advocate for things like maybe having a therapist at your school on site who deals with
Yeah.
trauma informed situations, or maybe having a community center for young people to have a safe space to talk about things that are affecting them in policy, and that could be a bill that's affecting their healthcare, so they don't so they're not, because they're not able to go to the doctor, and they may want to talk about that, have a safe space to talk about that. So those are different things that we target. But sometimes when you're talking to a young person about that who probably has less knowledge of what even a law is,
Mm.
they're not like going to be attentive to that. And so I find it very easy to just kind of meet people where they are. And I'm just a
Yeah.
great communicator. So when I talk to young people, sometimes it's easier to use that language. I'm still young myself. So, I start small, and I ask them, questions like, what do you want to advocate, right? And a lot of times they say no. And I'm like, why not? Well, ain't nobody gonna listen to me. I be trying to tell my friend something, but she don't listen. And so the friend, they'll be like, girl, I listen. They do all this stuff with their hands. Girl, I listen. And, although they don't even know, because they don't know how to talk to each other. And so as they're
Mm.
talking to each other, me being me, I'm like, well, okay, listen, how about this? Let's look at it like this. You feel like your friend don't listen because she's probably still going back to the situation that hurts her. But let's look at it like this.
Yeah.
Okay, you keep advocating for her. You keep telling her, look, friend, this guy gonna keep hurting you. He gonna keep lying, girl. We gotta keep clocking the T of him lying. You just use that type of language though, and like really relate to them and let them know that you're not trying to just get them to do something and feed them information, but you actually are trying to help better them. And sometimes you have to help better them in how they see the world. And with that, like it really benefits the young people, because in some small way, you may not save everybody, but one person out of their group is gonna say, huh, Aisha reached me. Like, I don't know what about her I connected with, but I want to get to know more about this.
Yeah.
And so I find that a lot when I talk to young people. It may not be the whole group, but it's always that
Mm.
one person who wants to still stay connected and be
Okay.
involved.
All right. Let's separate men and women, right? And because I just want to pick your brain a little bit more, just because I'm not around too many. I mean, other than being around rappers and stuff like that, but since you're with everybody, and you're in Mississippi, right?
Yep, right in
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Yep.
So I don't know, over let's say the last couple of years, have you noticed, and pick between both, the answer to each both. What changes or shifts have you found in men and women amongst these, amongst the youth that you've witnessed or noticed an insight or change or something?
Um, and I just want to make sure I understand your question. So you said, what changes have I noticed among like men and women with these different issues?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pick isolating them both. So
Mm-hmm.
the men's side or the woman's side. As far as things you might have
Honestly,
noticed about, any changes.
yeah, honestly, to be real, I I would, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's hard to like differentiate the difference, because honestly there is none. I feel like the
Mm.
only difference is I feel like the only difference is saying that, how people always talk about like social differences, right? Like men can do this and women can do that. I feel like sometimes that's the only difference. And you see a lot of that too, like even in policy,
Mm.
with maybe men having more power than women, or because of feminism, men, they may not have a very strong will, right? Because of things like the system.
Mm.
We see a lot of more black men in jail, specifically. So they may be more hurt in these areas. So I will say in those ways that may be something that I've seen a lot of.
Mm.
But especially being in these spaces like dealing with advocacy and system changes. Um, there's so much going on right now in the world as it relates to policy. And the world is really messed up, and it's so hard to talk about it when you're in a seat like mine, because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You have to be careful about what language and words you use. But honestly, man, overall, like I honestly feel like there's no different, because at one point I feel like, maybe it was like I said, you have, maybe the women, they're high ranked in this, and then the men, they're not, like, where it's like education, right? We see now, and that's like one thing, you see now that there are more women going to college and going to school getting degrees than there are men. um but then there's also like a decline of even still, with our men going to trade school, so they're not going to college, or they're not even going to vocational school. So what are they doing? Well, now they're turning to the streets, and most of them are in jail, or most of them are dying. And so it's like that. And then, there's this other conversation, which is not political, but you also have to be cautious about saying, is, the gender roles, right? Well, now you have more men changing their identity of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said that conversation is always so tricky, because you have to, like, be careful what you say. And of course, I'm not, against anybody's gender or anything like that. But those are also things that are affecting our culture and affecting the difference between men and women, because then that's another conversation with how women view themselves, and how women view men who maybe want to be a woman. And then now we have this new terminology like cis women, and all these different things, trans women and trans men. And now you have the separation, because of course you got a straight man, they probably do not like that, and then you got a woman who does not like that, because you're trying to call yourself a woman. So it's so many different things that are different, but in so many ways it's not different, because it's like it is literally affecting all of us. um and it's like being in this advocacy world, like I said, it's so tricky now, because it's kind of almost like you're choosing a side. And when
Mm-hmm.
you choose whatever side you're advocating for, um, in a way, it's like, if you say something, does it sound like you're going against it? And so this world that we're in, man, is very, very tricky. Like, it's very tricky. And I
Mm-hmm.
would just say, like, overall, my insight with young women and young men, if we're just talking about the young age, the lack of information, like, the lack of information that we're all getting, also puts us in a bubble of separating us. you know um you got men who might probably understand things from a certain lens, and then you got women who they understand things from a certain lens. And then now you have two different sides, because everybody has these different viewpoints. But what I will say overall, and I feel like, this is just something that has always been definite.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a difference that I know is real. Of course, like, we just think about different, and this is whether it's in the advocacy world, culture world, policy, whatever, even in the creative space. A woman's emotions and a man's emotions, two different things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, although a lot of people may not understand it, but your emotional appeal on how you view things in life affects everything else that goes on in your life, right? How you feel about a person affects if you want to work with them.
Yeah.
How you feel about a situation affects if you want to make that next move. Although emotional well-being is not a conversation that we find to be feasible or, important all the time, it affects everything you do. It affects whether a man wants to go in a space with women, because if he's the only man there, now he's going to feel like, I feel a little weird, I'm the only man here. If a woman goes in a space with a whole lot of men, she's like, I don't really want to go here, I feel overpowered. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's like emotional well-being and just emotional awareness. That's something that I feel like has always separated men and women. And again, just the lack of information or understanding your emotional awareness has always separated us. Because in my opinion, I feel like there's no separation. I just feel like there are, in a way, certain differences of how we live and do things in life.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the issue really is just us having the lack of information or understanding who we are and our overall purpose in who we are and why we, you know, are where we're supposed to be.
Oh, that's real. That's real. Okay, so since we've been since I know we can't have you for InvestFest anymore because you want to go get a raise, and they say you better be here. I don't know what's something that what's something that sticks out to you as you've seen like InvestFest for the last couple of years, at least on like online. What's like your impression? Like, have you been? Have you been at all?
No, man,
Okay.
this was actually going to be my first year going if I
Mm-hmm.
went this year. So
Yeah.
I was really excited about it actually. But I had a friend, I think his brother went last year. I think this was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought a book from someone there. And he was like, "Man, Isha, we gotta go." He was like, "My brother went to something called Invest Fest." And I was like, "Oh, word?" He was like, "Yeah." And so he's just telling me about all these different ways to invest. We're talking about like life insurance.
Mm.
And then we're just talking about, of course, just overall investing in our future. And so, of course, social media is a big thing. So we get on Instagram, we're following the pages. And what caught my eye about InvestFest for me personally, because I'm a podcaster, I
Mm-hmm.
learned about Earn Your Leisure. And so for me, and I mean, for me, this is impactful because it wasn't just the fact that they were podcasters; it was the fact that they literally started from nothing and they talked about money and investing. And, they talked about like, you don't need a whole lot to do this and do that. And whether that was with the equipment for podcasting or with just investing in yourself. And so being able to understand the strategies of
Mm-hmm.
how to invest with the financial things or how to invest in your future or your brand, that was something that always stood out to me because it just kind of shows you as a person that it really doesn't take a lot. And I think too, being young, we always talk, or even old, one of the things we always talk about is money, money, money. But it's more so of what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to say, not today, but this right now? And I think with the invest phase, it kind of really puts you in that space of how bad do you want to be here? And then you ask yourself, how bad do I want it? If you can't invest fast, apparently you put some kind of effort in being there. You paid, $300, or you paid $1,000, you paid 2,500. You spent money to come, so that's an
Right.
investment. And then you spent time away from your phone, away from your families, to sit in a long, very long, different seminars, workshops to gain knowledge. That's an investment. So after you made all the investments, what's the next step? And so for me, it always put me in a space of how do I answer this question? And so I think that's something that I really love about InvestFest, because you can you can say you want to do things, but ask yourself, what's the plan? And I think InvestFest really allows people to strategically plan and have a plan of action. So that's what I call it, well, that's what it is. Having a plan of action for the next steps, and when you're able to actually answer those hard questions, now you know you have something. But when you ask yourself those questions and you don't have an answer, now you know that you need to go back to the drawing board and really evaluate and dissect what your goals are and figure out how can you actually get back to that planning stage. And I feel in InvestFest from the first time that I've even encountered with them,
Mm-hmm.
they have helped me ask myself these questions that I had never asked myself before because I thought that having the idea was enough. But the idea is just a start, you know. And
That's a
so
fact.
yeah, that's my take on that.
No, for sure, for sure. I would grill you like, oh, so what kind of a person are you if you were gonna I ain't gonna do that since I know you can't, can't come, I ain't gonna give you a hard time.
Yeah,
You've
thank you.
worked with us,
Yeah, don't
you're
give me a hard
familiar
time
at
today.
least of yeah. Yeah, you're familiar with at least how we get down and, our company and just, being amongst and around people. So, you ain't it ain't too much I'm gonna have to tell you.
Nah,
But
not at
Invest
all.
Fest is definitely gonna be a lot crazier and a lot more people to manage and just keep the vibes good and stuff like that. So that's what we're just looking around for people for and stuff like that. I've put a few people up until
Hmm.
now, but yeah, no, it's gonna be a good time. Wish we could have you, but
Me too. And
all that.
but I told myself, I said hopefully next year, like, um with this cohort that I'm doing, hopefully they don't, the dates aren't on the same days, and that's a conflict. But yeah, I definitely said next year I hope to be there. And I said I wish they had like day passes. I didn't see it on the website because I'm gonna be there in Atlanta that weekend. I'm just not coming till later on Saturday.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, man, I wish they had a day pass. I could at least came Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, yep.
No, that's all good though. Well, I don't know. Tell the people something good since I ain't grilling you. Whatever you
All
want to
right.
say, whatever you want to advocate for, you know, let it happen. Go ahead.
So something good that I want to tell y'all is I'm performing in Hattiesburg on August 20th. So if you ain't doing nothing, definitely pull up. And the last thing I do want to tell y'all that's something good. Always believe in yourself, push yourself to the fullest. Your dreams can only go as high as you want them to. So keep dreaming, but make sure you turn it into a vision.
For sure. Go ahead, let the people know where they can find you online, keep up with you, all that.
So y'all can find me at Aisha the Goddess. That's spelled IESHATHEGODDESS. And that is my Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook at Aisha Hayes. All my pages are linked to my main page. So please check me out. And get up with me if you want to do a podcast, interview. You want to book me for all my services. It's on the page.
For sure. It's always a lovely time, my dear. And
It
shoot,
is. Same
hopefully,
to
we
you.
see
And
you
I
in the
hope all
future.
this
Well, actually, we're about to come to
Jackson
Jackson.
in a couple days.
Yeah. We out there in a couple of days. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. So I can, cause I'm attending. I don't think I signed up to perform, but I am gonna be there.
Not for sure.
Yeah.
Well, all right, shorty, we're gonna let you do your thing. Get up out this thing.
All right. Talk to you later. It's
All right,
good
talk to
seeing
you.
you.
See you. Peace.
Peace.